Transformative Soul Signals podcast with your hosts, Lynnessa Renee
and Monique. Join us as we share our genuine perspectives, guidance, and experiences.
and as we navigate transformative healing journeys and spirituality. The following episode was recorded on the Wisdom app. Wisdom is an amazing, blossoming community full of mentors and like-minded individuals. Wisdom is a free, supportive audio community full of people who want to live their most productive and meaningful lives. You can chat live with amazing people in dozens of categories, anything from careers, fitness, dating, beauty, food, spirituality, you name it. Listen and talk with amazing people committed to personal growth and endless self-improvement. It's available on Apple and Android platforms. Hello, beautiful people of the Wisdom community and our podcast listeners. I'm just waiting for my partner, Monique, to join so we can start our talk today. Hold on, I think she's coming. Let me see. Monique?
Yes, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. It's been a minute, but I'm happy
Yes.
that we're here. So let me intro again. Since we are going to air this on the podcast as well. But hello, beautiful people of the Wisdom community. I know it's been a while, but I noticed like that we've never quite shared how we started on this journey. So I thought it would be like a good talk for us to have. Because I know we've both had like some crazy experiences, and
Yes.
then people out there may be experiencing, well, I know they are for certain. Like there's been like in the past few years, like so many people are waking up to, you know, a different mindset, or there's been like this major, shift, with the age of Aquarius. So I thought it would be good for us to share our origin stories.
Yes.
So, how have you been? I guess kind of introduce yourself for those of those listening that haven't had a chance to hear from you yet.
My name is Monique. Hello, beautiful souls. And I am the other half of Transformative Soul Signals. And Lynnessa and I, we decided to do this podcast to help others with guiding them through their awakening and their healing journey. And this is my passion as well as Lynnessa's.
Yes, we both met each other online, and she's definitely my soul sister.
Yes.
And it's crazy because there's been so many parallels in our lives that I'm like, wow, this is definitely divine. I've never met her in person, but it was like the minute I heard her voice, there was like this recognition
Oh,
of,
yes.
yeah, and I guess like we both felt the same way. So here we are, like, what is it, almost a year later?
You know, I was thinking that the other day and I was like, wow, a year, almost a year has gone by. And
It's crazy.
yes, and it's so magical because when we talk, it's always like, oh, I'm going through that too. Or, oh my
The
goodness,
exact
yes, I
same
understand.
things.
Yes.
Yes. The exact same things at the same times. It literally feels like we're in a classroom and we got like assignments for life, but we weren't necessarily aware that that was what we were studying for that week. And then when we talk to each other, it's like, oh, we're comparing notes, and it's like, well, dang, we're literally dealing with the same lesson at the same time. It's so crazy.
Yes. This is why we decided to do the podcast because we figured, we share our story and our experiences and what our journey is like to help others that, are going through the similar thing, you know?
Exactly. And it's like if we could go through all of the crap that we've been through and still shine and be light and loving, then we can help other people to do the same thing. So, I want to kind of like, I know we talked briefly about this before, but I don't think I've ever heard like your story of awakening. And I call it like an origin story because I feel like I was sleeping before and like my life didn't really start until um
Yes.
until I had that experience. So I'm like, yeah, that's definitely my origin story because I'm the superhero. I'm the main character in my life. So like kind of talk to us about your experiences. I think yours is a little different from mine.
Yes. Ever since young, little girl, I always knew that the reality that we were living wasn't really real. It was just an illusion. I would watch TV, movies on TV, the Star Wars. Back then when I was young, the Star Wars what was out then, and it was very popular. But I used to think to myself, I couldn't believe that someone would be so creative to think of something like that. Within myself, I knew that it really existed.
Right.
That the only reason and the only way they were going to be able to be so detailed in how things went in Star Wars and the spaceships and everything was because they really saw it for real. And I felt it deep in my bones, in my soul, that it wasn't the way it was in reality for me, the way my perception at that time was. And growing up, I always kept that within myself. I really never shared that, but never really watched the news or anything like that. Really was never interested. I was more interested in learning about magic and things like that. And I just knew that it was something else. And I would say in my 30s, my early 30s, I started watching The Secret, and that's where it all began for me. And that was my first awakening because we have a couple of awakenings throughout our
Yes.
lifetime,
Yes.
and that was the first one. That's when I came to really learn about the universe and the law of attraction. And that was just the tip of the iceberg. That was just the beginning of it. As the years went by, I always used to talk to other people. You can't believe what you see in the news and things like that. And my dad also is awakened as well. And, he taught me a lot about, introduced me to books to read about the universe, about astral projection, meditating. And it wasn't until I would say my early 40s, I would say in 2019, or no, 2014, is when I started following a guru, Sagaru. And that's when I had what would they call the rude awakening. Like, that was the big bang for me. That was really, really, really some powerful experiences, some powerful awakenings into what was going on around me. I was doing the mantras. I started meditating. My dad was around a lot, so he was teaching me a lot as well. And wow, sis, it was amazing, and it's always a journey, but that was the journey for me.
So like around that time, do you feel like it was triggered by something that was going on in your life, or can you like remember like some, cuz that's kind of how it was for me. Like can you remember that something happening that triggered that big awakening?
My dad, when he used to come over, he used to stay a couple of days in my house because we lived far apart from each other. And what he used to do was he used to wake up in the morning and put on sound healing,
Mhm.
like what is the beats, the binaural beat,
The
yes, the
frequency. Yeah.
frequency. And I would wake up in the morning with this tingling in my literally in my head, and it just took it from there. It was just one day I woke up, and I just came out of a dream, a very, very vivid dream. It felt so real.
Mhm.
And, I ran downstairs and I said, "Oh my goodness, what are you doing?" Holding my head. But after that, that was it. And I was going through a rough time. at that time as well. I was going through a lot of stuff then. A lot of things were coming up for me. I was being triggered a lot because of my past traumas and experiences. And it was a rude awakening for me. It was really big. And I had my two kids with me as well. And, you know, going through what I was going through and talking the way I was talking and seeing the things the way I was seeing them, they would look at me like, Mom, you okay? But it was the beats. It was the beats, and it was my dad being there talking to me, the experiences that I was going through that were triggering a lot of things within me as well, and following this guru as well. And it just, it was just boom. And it was like, oh my goodness, all these things all throughout the years that I was thinking and feeling, it's true,
Right.
and it took me a while to process it. It took me, because you know within yourself that this is not real. You know that this is an illusion, and you know what you're going through is different. You know that you're heading towards something, but you just don't know what that something is. And then all of a sudden it happens and you're faced with it, and it's like a confirmation, and you just don't know what to do with that because people around you, family, friends, and things don't believe or don't feel the same way you do.
Or don't see what you see. And so,
Exactly.
yeah, it's like the rug is pulled from under you. Your whole life is blown up. I don't know. At least that's how it was for me. It's just crazy because, like you said, like even now we still have awakenings, but it's like because we know what they are now, then I feel like we're better prepared. But
Yes.
like looking back at the awakenings I had like mini awakenings, that led up, like you said, to like one big rude awakening. And I can remember most of my mini awakenings started with me like wanting to make a change because I wasn't happy. So it like started with my body or my mind. Like I would work on my diet and working out and, just little things like that. But it never really took hold. I never really stuck with it because it's like you have to do all of the things. Like you have to include your spirit as well for it to
Yes.
like permanently transform. And so, and I think I was in my early 30s too. I had just like had my son and I was going through postpartum depression, and then my father died. So there was like a bunch of little things happening in my life where it was like a snowball, and I was just like, what is life? This can't be it. I'm not happy,
Yes.
and I think we have a similar background as far as like growing up with like a traditional religion. My family was very religious, so like when all of like these strange things started happening to me, I didn't know how to take them, because I, like you, felt, something isn't right. Like I I don't believe what's around me, or feeling like I belong somewhere else or I'm from somewhere else. And like, oh, am I crazy? And then to come to find out, no, you're not crazy. But like you said, I started seeing numbers. I started like repeating numbers all the time, and I would just see them and I'm like, this can't be a coincidence, because they would just show up in the weirdest way. And it was like someone took my head and turned it and would look at like the speedometer or the thermostat, like just weird
Yes.
places. Like,
Yes. My
why
dad
do I
would be
keep,
the, I'm sorry, go
yeah.
ahead. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
My dad would be the one to say, hey, synchronicity.
Right. And that was before I even knew what a synchronicity was. And I was just like, why do I keep seeing these things? So it was like I realized my whole life, there were triggers and signs waiting for me to notice them. And it wasn't until I actually noticed them that, things started happening. So, like, when I finally started, like, looking up stuff, that's when more information just kept popping up and showing up. and I realized that I was having issues with my throat chakra. Now, mind you, I didn't know like anything about like chakras and um, spirituality. I was like a fish out of water. But like once I got in, it was like a light switch just clicked and I just learned or soaked up everything because I felt like, I've been here before or I know
Mm-hmm.
this, you know what I mean?
You
So,
remember. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, I knew I had been like not speaking up for myself and not when I wanted to speak my truth or say something, I would just be quiet. I would just be quiet. And as you can see, I'm not the kind of person who just be who will just be quiet, but that's what I was doing, to please other people. So, I was like, okay, so I definitely have like a throat chakra imbalance because I have figured out how to do it. um like with Reiki they teach you like you can use a pendulum to figure out your how your chakras are balanced. And I
Yes.
was like, okay, so my throat chakra is definitely imbalanced or closed because I was even having problems with my voice. Like I was having
Really?
yeah, like I
Wow.
sing a little bit and so I was sounding like a frog. So I was like, yeah, there's something to this. So one day, and this was my rude awakening, I decided to, like you said, listen to the frequency music for the throat chakra. And all that morning, because sometimes when you have awakening, you will feel physical symptoms in your body that you
Yes.
don't recognize. Like sometimes you may have hot flashes or you may have headaches. Your eyes may do weird things. You may feel the energy in your body or in your hands. You may start sweating. You may get hair or scratches and like bumps in weird places. Just weird stuff. At least that's what happened to me. And that's what happens now every time I have one. So, leading up to that, I didn't realize that's what it was. I was just like, I'm just feeling really weird. So I put on the throat chakra music and there was a voice in my head that was like, you don't need to be alone. Go lay with your mom cuz I live with my mom. And this happened like I think 2019. So I went in her bed, I laid in her bed and I had earphones on and I listened to the throat chakra music and then all of a sudden I felt this intense movement. It felt like boulders inside my body, only they
Mm.
didn't hurt, but they were very intense and it felt like they were turning. And it started at the base of my spine and it just kept going up like in a spiral, up my spine, up my spine, up my spine. And I was just laying there. I was like, I don't know what the hell is happening, but I just know that I have to remain calm because I've had other weird experiences. Like I had a spirit reach out to me in my while I was sleeping, and there was a spirit snake which I recognize now as warning me that I was going to have this Kundalini experience, which at the time I didn't even know what a Kundalini
Kundalini,
was.
yes, yes, yes.
So that's what was happening basically as the energy moved. It was my Kundalini waking up, and then it went up and up through all my chakras and out the top of my head. And once I sat up, I felt like this big wave of energy, and I perceived myself, like my spirit self, like kneeling, but I was bigger than myself. And it was like wings sprouted out. Like it was like, ah, I'm awake. And I was just in shock. I was like, what the hell was that? I ran to the bathroom and I just couldn't believe it. I was like, nope, that's not me. Nope, nope, nope. I wouldn't accept it. And now that I look at it, like if you see like online, there's like a picture of your chakras when they have it lined up, they literally have like two wings sprouting out of the side. like, and I feel like that represents like you being a channel or you having access to higher realms.
Wow.
And since then, like, I've had astral trips, I've had my spirit guides visit me, and that was like a rude awakening for me because I went from not knowing any of this, existed to like, boom, here it is. And I felt like it happened that way for me because I was going down a path that I wouldn't have been happy going down. So it was like, yeah, we are going to have to like just wake her up so she can get it
Yeah.
together.
Sometimes that's how it happens. I remember mine, and I think I had called you, and I was telling you, sis, there's something coming up my spine. I don't know what all this energy is. And I was doing downward dog, the cat pose, all kinds of things just to stretch out my spine because you literally feel the energy coming up. You can feel it, and it's a beautiful thing. And honestly, I've read a lot that people fear it. It's nothing to fear. It's just sometimes it's just a surprise of it, and the way that it comes up, like we said, a rude awakening where people can, it can be so intense, and not being aware of it or what it is what makes it scary.
Right. Plus, it opens you up. And if you're not ready to be opened up, then that does make it very scary.
Yes.
And because I didn't know what it was at the time when I went online, which that was probably not the best idea, that people were on there like, when I described, because I didn't know what it was, I described what happened as far as like the energy moving my spine. And then I saw the word kundalini and I was like, okay, what is this? So then I look it up, and there was like a bunch of fear mongering and, oh no, you might be having a psychotic break. And I was like,
Yes.
what, a psychotic break?
Yes, that's what they call it. And I think that it's intense, and it could be. It honestly could be for some people a psychotic break, but it's because they weren't ready. Or, they were like what happened to you. They were listening to something that it woke it up, and they have no idea what awakening is, and it's just the shock of that moment, realizing that the reality that we're living is an illusion, because
Exactly.
it's like boom, everything comes to you, and it's like, oh my goodness, the life that I'm living, and who wants to hear that,
Right. That
you
was the
know
hard part. Because even after I had this out of this world experience, and like even after having astro trips and seeing all of these things, I still was like rejecting it because, of everything I thought was real or how I was raised. And then my family, you know, they're not experiencing the things, they're not seeing the things. So it's making me feel like my whole world is upside down. You know what I mean? And it's
yes,
like, are you crazy? And I'm like, no, I'm not crazy. so,
not at all, not at all, not
so
at all.
like after it happened for you, like as far as like your family, because something beautiful happened with my family after maybe a couple months after all of this was happening. And I suspect like the same might have happened for you. Like, how was your family after you had like your first like big awakening? How did they end up acting?
I've had a very intense experience when it came to the family. I came from a very abusive home, and there was a lot of dysfunctional relationships going on there. There was a lot of overstepping boundaries and things like that. And when you become awake and that happens to you, you start realizing a lot of things. You start taking your power back. You start really sticking up for yourself. And like
Right.
you said, you started realizing that your chakra was blocked and everything, your throat chakra. And that's all about speaking your truth and everything. So when I started getting into the studies of wanting to speak my truth and setting healthy boundaries, it was like everybody had a problem with it, and I was the bad guy, I was being a bitch, I was being nasty, but it wasn't even like that at all. It was just me speaking my truth. But because being in an abusive home, you don't get to speak your truth. You don't get to say the things that you feel or anything like that. So when that started happening for me, they had a really big problem with it. And it was all part of the journey. It was all part of the journey. And I'm not mad at them for it. I forgive them, bless them, because they don't know, but even till this day, after so many years, still, when I have to say no, that's not it, that's not what we're going to do, or no, that's not what I want, it's still an issue, you know,
Wow.
but it's part of the process, it's part of the journey, you know.
It is, and you know what? I feel like they're going to come around, because that's what kind of happened with my family. Like, the more I just, and I tell you, like, yeah, boundaries. What are those like? when it
Exactly.
when it comes to family, like they really don't care about your boundaries. But like, it's like when you stick up for yourself and continue to like, no, I'm really serious about this, then they come around, and then it's like the things that you're doing, just by you existing in your power, they start to do the same thing. Because like, I remember, like, around that time, tarot was a great tool for me, and I was using it a lot to like get through everything I was dealing with, along with like other modalities that we learned about, like me and you, like human design, astrology,
Yes.
all of these tools. They were a great help. And so I was raised to be like, nope, you can don't, don't do those things. That's not, right. You shouldn't do that. And so my family was like, oh, you're going down the wrong path. And even though, Monique, the crazy thing is, these practices and stuff were like very prevalent in previous generations in my family. Like, I came to learn that later, but there was like a disconnect from it when we, because my family is originally from the Bahamas. So when we migrated over here, maybe like a generation or so ago, a lot of that was left behind. Because I even remember like my grandfather and great grandmother talking to me about astral trips and spirits when I was little, but I always thought they were crazy.
Right.
So, so like, fast forward to me having the experiences, and then talking to like my family, and them looking at me like, I'm crazy. They eventually came around, and they eventually started to be open to the same things and having their own experiences. And then I noticed like them starting to like wake up. So it was like, just by me like standing in my power, it kind of like influenced them to do the
Yes.
same.
Yes, and that's that was one of your jobs here, so to speak, here on Earth, is to open them up for the future generation, which is the same thing here with me, because I grew up in the Santeria religion, and in the Santeria religion we use shells to read. There was no tarot, and when they
Wow.
read cards, it was Spaniard cards, and it was nowhere near or even alike or similar to the tarot. And I was kind of intimidated by the tarot growing up. I never wanted to touch the tarot. And once I had awakened and I started reading, I've always read, but really got into reading. Now, how many decks do I have of tarot?
A
Like,
lot. Me and you
yeah,
both.
yes. So, and it's really amazing. And I don't practice Santeria or anything like that, because awakening really helped me to see a lot of things that deal with that, and it's helped somewhat the family now, where they're a little bit more open and they are more respectful, you know. But whenever there's an issue or someone wants to know something, guess who they call?
You, I'm sure.
Yes. Can you read the cards for me? I need to know this. Or, can you do one of your mediumship things? I need to speak to this, this person or a family member or something, And then, but that's what we're here for, to open them up and to open their eyes and to awaken them, because one day when we pass on and we transition, that stays with them. And
Definitely.
it could be something that they teach their kids or their grandkids or their great grandkids, you know?
And not only that, like, I had been seeing, I don't know why, but DNA stuff has kept like popping up on my feed, and you know how I feel about that. Like I feel like spirit is like sending stuff because I'm like, I didn't look for this information, and then
It just pops up.
and it's, yeah, it's just popping up.
Yes.
So it's like, our DNA, like when we heal ourselves, our DNA literally transforms, and then like whatever children we have, that DNA is now healed as well.
Yes.
All of that trauma and pain that, your parents, your ancestors went through, the bad things and the good things. Let's not leave out the good things because good things come too. But all of that is passed down to you in your DNA. So it's like when you do the work, when you do the healing, when you make the changes, or you build, all of that is passed down to your, the future generations in your family. Isn't that
Yes.
amazing?
It's beautiful. And you know, with the DNA stuff as well, there's organs that are connected to our ancestors, that when you do a DNA codes to either let's say for an example the kidneys are connected to our ancestors. So there are DNA codes out there that you can use to help your kidneys function better, and also they release your ancestors from whatever karma that they were trapped in when they passed.
Wow.
And these are things that people are not aware of. Just us healing, not only just spiritually and mentally, but it's all connected. This is why they say body, mind, and soul, because when you heal the body and the organs and all of that, you're also healing your ancestors
And your future.
and your future
Yeah.
generation as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's all connected. And also the collective, all connected. We're all
Yes,
connected. It's like a ripple
that's
effect,
true.
you know.
Absolute. And like, see, when you said, right, when you said it's like a ripple effect, I saw the candle, because that saying, it only takes one candle to light a
Yes,
thousand. And that's exactly what it is. It's like just by you fixing yourself, you're fixing other people.
exactly.
That is mind blowing.
It is. It's beautiful. I mean, listen, it's not easy because we all have something that we fear to face or we don't want to face, we
Many
resist.
things.
Yes, many things, but it's all worth it at the end. Because those are the same things that are holding us back. Those are the same things that are keeping our ancestors trapped. Those are the same things that everyone in the collective might need healing from, and they don't know how to go about it. And you have the resources and tools. You have astrology, you have human design. There's just so many things out there and different things that you can use to help you along. There's the shadow work, there's the inner child. I mean, for me, my journey with inner child is really intense because of the
Yeah.
abuse and the trauma that I experienced as a child. I've gotten to a point in my life where it doesn't bother me anymore. There's no anger or resentment because I knew that had to be a part of my journey here on
Yep.
earth. And someone who's been through trauma that hasn't healed yet would say, "Is she crazy? What is she talking about?" But it's true. I've come to a point in my life where I've forgiven, I've let go, and I can continue doing the inner child work without having these emotions coming up where I'm projecting them to others.
Right. And you know what? It gets a lot easier. It's like your
Yes.
willingness to do it, it gets easier. Like you'll start seeing tools or people just show up out of nowhere to like help you along and make it easy. Or like, to me, the real power is recognizing stuff like right as it's happening. Like before, and I would ignore stuff, that issues that I had. But like now it's like when you have that self-awareness, you know immediately when you're like, oh God, Lynnessa, here you go again. Like, and then it's like you have like an appreciation for even like the screwed up stuff about
Yes.
yourself,
Yes.
because you know that it serves a purpose, you know that you can use it, and you know that you have ways to like work it out or heal it if you need to. So it's like it takes away that shame and that need to like numb yourself that a lot of people have, and that's like such a big piece of it.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And it helps you overall. Look at the experiences I've been going through with my health. When I first went, that I was going through everything, it was like, oh, you have this and you have that and you have this. But then when I come home and I work things out and I'm open and receptive, and I release that fear. When I go back to the doctor, it's like, oh, you're okay. The tests are negative. You're good. And it's like,
Wow.
wow, you know, it's like, whoa, I got to keep doing this, because I knew exactly what it was. And now I'm open to the healing emotionally, physically, and mentally, because I know that when I come out of this on the other side, all is going to be well.
Exactly. And that is the part I was missing before. Like I said, like when I was having the mini awakenings, it would be just attacking one thing. Like, okay, let's get fit, let's work out, let's eat right. But then you haven't done anything about your mind, you haven't done anything about your spirit. So like those things are not going to last. But it's like once you involve all three things, once you actually heal all of the trauma, which of course that journey is never over. We're doing it every day.
Every
It
day,
doesn't
yes.
end. Like the struggle is real sometimes.
Yes.
But it's like you have a better chance of like prolonging it, once you engage all three of those things. They were like really important, and I feel like that is why that spiritual part was so like devastating for me, because that was the part I kept ignoring. You know what I mean? So
Oh yeah.
it's crazy.
It is. But it's a beautiful journey once you get to the side of being open and receptive. When you see the end results of it, it's a beautiful thing, because it's all about bypassing that fear, bypassing that resistance. That even though you fear it, you're still gonna go and do what you need to do.
Exactly. You're using that fear as like a like a push or a boost to
Yes.
like actually make the change.
Oh
And
yeah.
then I don't know, it kind of becomes more fun, cuz like when you think about life as a school, or learning or whatever, it becomes a lot more fun. Even though some lessons or tests, you're like, this is crap. This is bullshit. I don't want to deal with
Yes.
this. Because I've
Oh
had that
yeah.
happen. Like I'm like, when I'm talking to my spirit guides, are y'all serious right now? Is this what we're doing? And
Oh yeah.
but it's like it kind of becomes fun, because like especially when you recognize like patterns and tests, and you're like, okay, where have I seen this again, before? Let me try to do something different so I get different results, so
Yes.
if you look at it like that, then it becomes a little easier.
It does. And that's amazing that you brought up about the cycle, because I was just realizing the other day as well that there was something I literally could see the pattern repeating itself. And I was like, and I think I had mentioned it to you. I said, sis, this is a pattern repeating itself. And I was like, wait a minute. What is it that I need to learn from this experience? What is it? Not say that you're doing something wrong, but what is it that you haven't learned yet? What is it that you're resistant to? What are you resistant to? And don't look outside of you or point the finger to say, well, this person this and this person that, because at the end of the day, we know, sis, that it all goes back to us.
Yep,
And when you
that's what it's all about.
Yes, and when you start asking those questions and you're open and receptive and you ask the universe, you ask your guides, what do I need to learn out of this experience? They're going to show you and you'll get it. Now, it's going to be up to you if you're willing to do the work and do what it is that you need to do, whether it's fear, whether it's resentment, whether it's anger, because anger is really just fear. You're just covering the fear with anger, and every other emotion really leads back to fear.
Fear
So,
or lack. I'll say lack too, because it's, I don't know how, but yeah, because when I sit there and I think about, okay, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel this way?
and I uncover it, it goes back to fear or lack. Like when you don't feel worthy, that's lack. When you don't think there's enough, or you won't be able to do something, that's lack. So yeah.
Exactly. And that's what's the beautiful part about knowing the human design, because once you know your authority and everything and your strategy, right? For us, for you and I, because we have almost the same human design, it's all about asking the question and just keep it moving. Don't sit there and contemplate on it, because it will show up. You just have to wait to respond. How simple can it get than that?
Wow.
You know, so you ask the question and you put it out there to the universe. What is the lesson that I need to learn in this experience? And then you just keep it moving, get it out your mind, because it will show up. And then you're waiting to respond, and then it depends on you on how you're going to respond to that.
And then that's like a part of being able to notice the patterns, because it's like once you don't wait for it to respond, that's, or you go against your will or your design, that is when the same thing keeps happening over and over. And like
Yes.
when I sat and I looked at my life, like I was like, wow, like how could things be more obvious? But it's like it's like we're so blinded by like whatever we're going through that we don't see the bigger picture. We don't see the patterns. But it's like once you have these kinds of spiritual awakenings, it's like you get like a special pair of glasses, and things just become clear, and you can, it's like you can look down at yourself or look down at your life and be like, wow, this is literally the same circumstance repeating itself
Yes.
over and over and over. And I remember when I like woke up to that one day, and I was just, my mind was just blown, because it was like it was a relationship. Because most of the times when I notice patterns, it's a relationship. Like you'll be like, why do I keep attracting this same person over and over again? And you're like, you know, what is it about me? Or you kind of like, you know, you put it outward. You're like, that those kind of people are attracted to me. And it's like, okay, well, what is it about you, or what are you doing, you know, to attract these kinds of people? What vibes are you sending out to attract these kinds of people? So it's like once I realize, oh, it has a lot to do with, you know, my worth and codependency, or having abandonment issues. That's why I'm attracting this certain, you know, person over and over and over again. And like I had a situation happen where I literally repeated the same exact situation with the same exact person over and over. And it's like, how could this be any more clear? You know, because
Exactly.
like I would ask them for help whenever I had to move, and like it wouldn't work out, or it would end with an argument, or it would end with my energy being zapped, and I would be worse off than I was, you know. And then the next time I had to move again, I did the same exact thing. The same exact thing happened, because, you know, there was that lack of boundaries, like we were talking about. And then the third time, I was like, this is really familiar. So I was like, what should I do differently? So I was like, you know what? Let me just move by myself. Let me hire movers this time. Let me not ask that person for their help. And then it was like once I recognized that repeating pattern or issue, everything changed. Like it was like my reality just changed immediately.
The energy shifted. Yes.
Yeah. And so when I witnessed that, I was like, okay, so how can I do this in other areas of my life, you know?
Yep. And
And that's
that's,
real power.
it is. That's taking your power back. That's standing in your power. And you know, like attracts like.
Right.
So whatever you're rating out there is exactly what you're going to get. Whatever your thoughts are, whatever your emotions are, that's exactly what you're going to keep getting back. And that's just, that's just the law of attraction. That's how it works. That's the law of the universe. So a lot of people are not really aware of that. If you fall into a victimization, then you're going to keep getting situations that are going to put you in a victim.
That people can victimize you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's amazing how it works. It really, really is. And it took for me to release a lot of layers, a lot of layers, to be able to get to that point where I can be like, oh, I see it now. And I was really shocked the other day that I was able to see the cycle repeating itself, and it's like, whoa. And it's a beautiful thing when you're able to see it before it even starts.
Right. Because
It's
then you
like,
can
yes,
catch it.
you can catch it, and then you can shift that energy by either shifting your mindset, or your emotions, or start journaling and really, ask yourself, where is this coming from? What is the lesson in this? And sometimes we might not come up with the answer right away. Sometimes we just have to wait.
Exactly. Sometimes it's not time for you to know. Like in my
Exactly.
case, because I always want to rush to, have the answer or finish or do whatever it is. Like, and it's like, no, it's not time for you to know yet. Chill,
That's right.
stop trying to control, just surrender, just go with the flow. And, and that's another thing. Like, recognizing, like, once you have those awakenings, recognizing that balance and neutrality and like walking the middle path is very important, especially like with like your masculine energy and your feminine energy, because I had the hardest time, and I know there's a lot of women like that out there, and even in my family, like I had the hardest time, like just embracing my feminine energy and like really, really allowing it to do its thing and be alive and awaken me, and I still struggle with that because I'm so used to like just action, action, doing, and feminine energy is about receptivity, receiving, just sitting and waiting and attracting. And what is the law of attraction, right? There's, you put your intention out, but you're mostly supposed to like attract and go with the flow. So like if you're too much in your masculine energy, or you're someone who wants to always be in control, then it's hard to attract. And yeah, so that was like a constant struggle that I worked through.
Yeah, and that's the same with me. I always wanted control, always wanted control, but it just, the reason so much for it, that a lot of people want control. It depends on their conditioning, and where was their power taken away from them when they were young.
Right.
So when they become adults, we feel like, I'm an adult now, so I don't have to do this. But then there's that sense of wanting to control everything, because when you were young, you wasn't able to control anything. It was always someone else doing something that you might have not liked to do, or they had you do something you didn't like to do. So releasing some of that control is like kind of letting go of that tight hold on the masculine, and letting your femininity come up a little bit. At least let her peek out, and say, okay, I need to release this control like this, because I was the same way, when it came to my kids, my home, and everything. And now that I'm kind of like stepping back and saying, I don't need to control everything. I can't control everything. The only thing I can control is myself, my emotions,
Right.
my thoughts. So letting go of that really helped me to get to know my feminine side, really helped me to, to kind of let her out, and it's I have to be honest, it's kind of new to me,
Yeah, uncomfortable.
uncomfortable
Cause
because
you, cause you said like let her peek out, and I'm like no, like mine, she needs to come all the way
the
out.
way
Like
out.
she's
Exactly.
haunting my dreams literally, and I told you about that the
Yes,
other
yes.
day. She's like, let me out.
Yeah, and it will come to a point where I'm pretty sure mine is going to be banging on that door and trying to kick it down,
Yeah,
but right now it's you got to take it, step by step, and just do the work. But before, I was, wow. it was really, really bad, the controlling and all of that. And now I've really stepped back a lot from it. You know, even my kids are noticing. They're like, wow, mom, you know, you're more easygoing. You have to be that way. You know, you can't always be uptight in life. You know, you miss the fun part, you miss the good things when
Yeah.
you're like that, you know?
And we're
So,
supposed to be here to have fun and experience.
exactly.
And spirit, to me, spirit is like femininity. It's like water. It's like, that connection. It just flows. There's nothing forced about it. And it's like if you are closed or you're not open, then you're not going to receive the information that you need to receive. So it's like I realize that that's something that I really have to work on, because I notice when I'm more vulnerable and I'm embracing my feminine energy, then my intuition is like off the charts, as compared to like when I'm trying to, figure things out and control things. And that's why I feel like I had that crazy awakening to sit my ass down, because I know me. I know me. So it was all a part of a divine plan. I'm 100% certain.
Yes. And you know, sometimes there's people in our lives that come into our lives to show us. You know, I had a relative who stood with me for almost a month, and she is the same way, you know, with the controlling and always up and at it. And, you know, but that comes with a lot of things as well, you know. And me just sitting there and watching this, and I say, wow, she reminds me of me, you know, gives me a bigger picture of like, wow, you know, it just really opens you up to realize. And I am so grateful to her because she taught me something without her even realizing it. You know, she was able to show me something without her even realizing what is like for me when I'm up at it all the time. I don't take a break, or I don't sit down and just relax, or just sit down and talk to the kids, because you know, it was always a controlling thing where I always had to have everything in its order, you know, everything in its space. So seeing that in someone else really showed me like,
A
wow,
mirror.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, okay, you know, how can I tell her to sit down and take a break when I don't even do it myself? You know, and that really helped me a lot because it helped me to open up to really go within myself and check that out.
And it's like, it's crazy that you say that, because it's like, even though I know that people are mirrors, and like some people are like real mirrors. Like, to me, you're a mirror, and like my soulmate, my future husband, he's a mirror. But like, it's like, even with that being the case, you still don't see it in the moment. Like, I'll say my mom, like when my mom is driving me crazy, even though I know like, yeah, this is what it looks like when you drive other people crazy. Lynnessa, are you observing this?
Exactly.
You still feel like you're not receptive to it until later. so
Exactly. Yes. Because
so
at that
it's
moment you're
crazy.
like, what? You know, but then when you really sit down and think about it, you're like, whoa.
Right. It's like, do I really do that? And yeah, you do.
Oh, yeah. And that's the beautiful part of being neutral, because when you're neutral, you can see it clearly, you know, but when you're closed up, it triggers. And that's
Right.
where you react instead of respond to it. I noticed that too.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it could definitely be a trigger. And depending on where you're at, whether you're somewhat neutral and open and receptive to change and to go within yourself, or if you're just closed up and resistant, you get triggered. You can either respond or react,
Right.
depending on where you're at with that, because it's all a projection and a reflection. You know, you're projecting and they're reflecting back to you. You know, I laugh because it's just amazing the process, you know, how it works.
That's why I said it's like we have some special spy glasses
Oh, yeah.
to see to see
Oh, yeah.
what's really going on. And that's kind of like, that's what I feel like. It really is like the Matrix, where you get a pill, and then you're just awakened to like what's really going on. Oh, it looks like you had to mute. But I really enjoyed coming on. Like this is our first time finally coming on after being on Wisdom for a while, and I thought it was like a great topic to talk about because we have both had some pretty interesting experiences when it comes to awakening, and I just wanted to like share that. And let's see, I think we are going to close because I think Monique had to go. But no, I really enjoy this, and I'm going to definitely do it more often because I think we need to have. Oh, you're back.
Yes, I'm sorry, Lanessa. I received that call.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I'm so sorry. I had to pick it up because it's the doctor's office. But we need to continue this for sure.
Yes,
It was
definitely.
really wonderful, and I hope that a lot of people really picked up from it, and I hope it helps a lot of people out there. And we'll
Yeah,
definitely
and
talk
definitely
soon.
don't be afraid. Like when weird stuff starts happening, you'll notice like you'll start certain things will start popping up repetitively. We talked about synchronicity, and once you pay it attention or once you're interested in it, it's like it sets off a chain of events that end up turning into your awakening, so it's like once you're ready. Because I noticed, like, I've been getting signs and synchronicities my whole life, but I've been ignoring them my whole life. And so it wasn't until I actually like paid attention that all of these things started happening, because it was like, oh, okay, you actually notice now, you're starting to wake up, you're starting to notice the glitches and stuff. So now here it is, here's what you were missing, here's the piece of the puzzle that you weren't aware of, or you didn't remember, I should say. So we should definitely come on more often and share about our sometimes crazy experiences, because other people are having them as well.
Yes, definitely. Yes, yes, yes. And this has been really wonderful being able to share these experiences and able to talk to talk about them, because not a lot of people have the opportunity to do that. And
Right.
I'm pretty sure there's millions of people going through this, if not the same, similar to what we're going through. And they probably looking for information or doing research, and you can find out information, but sometimes it's even better when you can hear people talk about their experiences and what they went through, because then you realize, like, okay, my experience wasn't so bad, because okay, this person went through it too, and look, they're good.
Right, exactly. And then I noticed too, like downloads are they are real. They are thriving. Like when I have mine, I see lights. Sometimes I have sensations in my body, but then I'll notice like the next day after having one, I'll have like this surge or of thoughts or ideas that I have to get out, either like speak about in the podcast or create something, you know what I mean? But then I'll notice other people are talking about the exact same things in the in the exact same order. So it's like, okay, they got the memo too. They got the download too. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's like it just reaffirms like we are all really connected.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
But it was lovely to do this talk today with you, my beautiful soul
Oh,
sister.
yes, with you as well, sis, with you as well.
And we definitely need to do it again sooner than later.
Definitely, definitely.
And hopefully like have some other guests on, that would be fun too.
Oh, that would be so awesome. And we also, I would like to also see about doing the thing about talking about boundaries, since it was mentioned as we were
Oh yeah.
speaking. Yes, that's a biggie. I mean, I know a lot of people that ask about that, setting boundaries. How do you set them? How do you know, what bound? Some of them don't even know what boundaries are.
Yeah, the struggle is real with boundaries. By the
Yes.
time, I don't think it'll ever end, but by the time I'm able to like write a book on it, then I'll probably be an expert because the amount of times, especially when it comes to my family, like for me, it's so hard with family.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, we'll definitely come back and talk more about that.
Yay. That'll
Yay!
be so cool.
But yes, we kept it short today, guys, because we both have other engagements. So
It was wonderful, beautiful souls.
it was, and let's do it again sometime soon.
Yes.
Okay,
Blessings.
sis. Love
Bye.
you.
Love you more, sweetheart. Bye.
Bye bye.
And as always, thank you for listening to today's episode. If you're interested in more, you can check out our blog at transformativesoulsignals.com. Goes a little deeper into the discussion. You can also follow us over on IG, Facebook, or TikTok at Transformative Soul Signals for more content or to continue on the conversation. Have a comment or a question you need help with? Well, you can send us a recording or message to info@soulsignalspodcast.com that we may even end up featuring on the show. Till next time, take care.